Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet Radio broadcast on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight we have with us a very special guest. We have Stephen Tucker of Morbid Angel. Welcome back to the show, Stephen.
Thanks, Jet. I think I'm like a regular now or something.
You are. We got a special seat just for you here.
Right on. Yeah, you guys could have bought a nicer seat at least.
Oh, come on now. We're on a limited budget.
It's definitely.
So, hey, Stephen, last time you had been on the show, you were in the studio recording with Eric Rutan over at Mana Studios, and since then, you've completed a U.S. tour. So tell us, Stephen, what were you personally feeling heading into this tour and your return to Morbid Angel live?
I don't even really, honestly have a clue what I was feeling because, everything was sort of just it was a stone rolling down a hill, man. Once everything was in motion, it was in motion. I was excited, of course. To be honest with you, I live to play music, so getting to go back out on tour and getting to see people that I hadn't seen, some of the people I hadn't seen in my 15 years, it was excellent. It was a great thing, and regardless of what was going on in my brain, which was obviously irrelevant because I don't remember, I know that once the tour started, it was fantastic.
And now, one of your first shows was the United States of America's biggest metal festival at the Maryland Death Fest. So what was it like, going on there? And now you're in front of, these big crowds. And how have Scotty and Dan adjusted to the band now also in this live situation?
Well, I'll start with Scotty and Dan. They've done great. Honestly, flawless. There were no mistakes. The tour was great. Everybody was extremely professional. Scotty Fuller is a tremendous drummer, man. The guy just solid as a rock. And Madam Vaughn, man, he's his own character in his own right, man. He's a pretty interesting guy, but great guitar player, man. Solid as a rock. And honestly, I felt extremely comfortable. The first show or two were, for me, a feeling out period or whatever, and playing with new people like that is always kind of, for me, I just personally, just because I worry about absolutely everything, it was it was a little worrisome, but it went fabulous, and the entire tour it far exceeded what I expected out of the tour. It was a great tour. Those guys did a really, really good job.
And so,
I don't remember what the rest of the question was.
I think you answered that one and the next one. But when you got out there, when you were at the Maryland Death Fest, and now you got people coming from all over the country and even from all over the world, the first time they're seeing you guys, so what, with you, back on tour with them, so what did you observe from stage? Were people excited? Did you get a good energy from the crowd?
Actually, that was the other part of the question with Maryland Death Fest. What was that like? First of all, that was that was like playing the Thunderdome. I don't really know any other way to put it. It was like somebody stuck me in an awesome ass fucking movie of post-apocalyptic people, and I was able to perform on the stage at Maryland Death Fest and the venue. That venue, Ram's Head, is absolutely fucking fantastic, man. I enjoyed the hell out of that. There's people from all over. I got to hang out with Peter from Vader. I hadn't seen Peter in 8 years or something. I've seen all kinds of people that I hadn't seen in years. It was great. I wish I could play at Maryland Death Fest every single year.
And now at the Boston show that I went to go see you guys at, the crowd, there's excitement and anticipation. When you get up there, can you feel this energy from the crowd? Because you can feel it when you're in the crowd. Everybody's getting all so excited and stuff.
When that stuff's happening, when the crowd's anticipating, us, I'm myself going through my own routines and dealing with my own overabundance of energy and I don't want to call it paranoia, but just, 15 minutes before the show, all I want more than anything in the world is to do the show. So, I mean, it's really hard to explain, when you're walking up. I guess, you do absolutely probably feel the energy in the room, I would think. Not probably. You do feel the energy in the room. And, I mean, the more energy in the room, the more exciting it feels, when the lights drop and the intro starts,
So do you do anything to prepare for this, or just anticipate it for 15 minutes before you go on, Stephen?
Oh no! I mean, at that time, I'm stretching. I'm doing some sort of vocal warm ups. I mean, I'm not a singer like Ronnie James Dio, but I mean, I do some vocal warm ups, and like I said, stretching and really kind of a visualization. And it's a daily thing that I don't even think about. It starts about an hour before the show, 45 minutes before the show, and I kind of go into a zone that I don't come out of until probably a half an hour after the show.
Now, and once this tour was all over, I mean, this was like a whirlwind tour. You were playing somewhere almost every night, and you were going all over the United States. What was it like then, once the tour ended, and you were plopped back?
It was terrible. Terrible. Like the tour coming to an end was just absolutely terrible. I mean, I could have stayed on that tour, for the next 10 years. I mean, it was just fantastic. It was a great time, man.
Now, on October 6th, the announcement was made that Morbid Angel will be releasing their next album, Kingdoms Disdained, on December 1st on Silver Lining Music and JVC in Japan. So, Stephen, prior to doing anything on this album, what were some of the things that you and Trey were discussing as to how you wanted to go about the writing and recording process, including what direction you wanted the band to go in?
Well, I mean, the first thing Trey said to me was, I want to make an album that's, I want to make killer music with killer people. I mean, to go any more detail than that, honestly, I don't even remember. But it was really just about, hey, man, I don't want this. I want this to be Morbid Angel. I don't want this to be what it was kind of being changed to be. And I went into this. I mean, I told Trey, that my first, question, is always musical direction. I mean, anytime it involves playing music, that's got to be the first question. And I mean, everything Trey said to me and all the discussions we had made me very comfortable that Trey had every intention of doing the kind of album that I think Morbid Angel fans expect and that I personally feel. To do anything else, man, I don't feel it. And to be honest with you, it's not gonna be great by any means. If I'm trying to do something that to me is fake, or and I think the thing about the same with Trey. Trey's a very focused and singular focused person when it comes to music, and I mean, I think that he knew exactly what he wanted, and he knew that I was the right guy to give him what he wanted out of this album.
So tell us a little bit about the actual writing process on this album. Who wrote what and who contributed what to this album?
Honestly, Trey, myself, and Scotty all contributed to the album. I mean, Trey contributed the most. Trey wrote 7 or 8 songs. I wrote a couple songs, 2 or 3 songs, and the songs that I wrote together with Scotty. So he contributed too as well. Scotty wrote a couple, had a couple great ideas and stuff that we ended up, putting together. They may have been changed slightly, but still, I mean, initially are his ideas. So, I mean, everyone that was there was definitely feeding the monster, so to speak.
And not having written for Morbid Angel in quite some time, Stephen, was it easy for you to jump right back into the writing process, and musically I'm speaking?
Man, it's never easy. Nothing about Morbid Angel is easy. There's not anything involved in this band that's easy. I mean, it's this band doesn't really follow trends or anything like that, and it's always Trey is always trying to come up with something new and something different. And I mean, as musicians, people get tired of doing the same things over and over. So I mean, the point is always trying to expand and do something new and something fresh. For me personally, I mean, I hadn't written a song for Morbid Angel besides lyrics, I hadn't written a song since Gateways. So, we're literally talking, like 15 years or something. So, honestly, I didn't really think about it. I guess when I was writing, it was that, hey, there's room for more songs here. You got any ideas? Yeah, sure. I've always got ideas. So that's really how it came about, And to me, I guess if I would have sat and thought about it, like actually even ahead of the game, I mean, when this was all first happening, when we were talking about writing a new album, I mean, the thought of thinking, okay, I need to write Morbid Angel songs, even at that time, it was something that, for me, I was like, well, I don't know if I'm mentally in the place to write Morbid Angel songs. I haven't been in Morbid Angel in a long time. But by the time we were rehearsing the other songs and working on everything for the album, I mean, I was very, very much in the Morbid Angel mode. I very much, had found myself in a very familiar place on the assembly line.
And now, as far as lyrics go, then, where did you start drawing your inspiration from that while writing with them?
It was really, I have to say that it was easy to write lyrics for the album. When we were recording this, back in, what was it, December, December, January, this time frame or something. And, I mean, if you remember, the news was quite busy, during that time with all different sorts of things that really kind of play into my line of thinking of where the world's been going for quite some time anyway. So I don't really mean to say that this album is a social album that deals with social topics, but there is a sense about the album that it is talking about current social events, but it's really not. It's actually really talking about these same social events occurring through time, repeatedly. And it's really talking about, as always, Morbid always deals with things from a more spiritual nature than they do from a physical nature. So it really starts to take a lot of the ideas of what's going on right now, and it looks at them from a God's perspective, or it looks at them from the perspective of a complete, total outsider, an alien, if you will, seeing the scenario. Rarely do I go into these writing lyrics and give my opinion on something, or give you my complete, total view on something, because honestly, my views change, man. I have to say that my views continuously, year after year, seem to evolve and become different things, and something that I felt 10 years ago about a situation isn't necessarily true now. I may still have the same fundamental foundation of ideas on it, but the actual rest of it has become much more, which fundamentally may change my opinion. So, writing the lyrics, they're definitely always from a third-person perspective. They're definitely always from the eyes of someone who is neutral. They're an observation more than anything.
So tell us a little bit now about the recording process and why you guys wanted to record at Mana Studios.
Plain and simply, man. Eric Rutan. I mean, honestly, that's a no fucking brainer. I love him. He's one of my best friends. Trey loves him like a brother as well. We've all known each other for many, many years, and I mean, Eric is a pro. Eric does a professional job, and I mean, in the end, that's what you really want. In the end, you want it. I mean, we want to not be punished the entire recording cycles. I'm sorry, the entire recording sessions. We don't want to be punished. We want to enjoy it, and we want the outcome to be, fantastic. So it's a no-brainer. If you want that, go to Eric Rutan. Plain and simple, he's the best.
And so, how long did the actual recording process take in studio?
We spread it out. Eric had some other good stuff. Actually, now it doesn't. I mean, it was a secret thing, but now, Cannibal was also working it. So it was kind of spread out, and we ended up. We were done with the recordings in March, and then after he finished the Cannibal Corpse, then we did the mix, and Yeah, so, I mean, it was spread out. We did drums, and then we were away for weeks, and then we came back in, did some guitars, took another break, came back in, and, did bass, vocals, solos, etc. And, I mean, the whole process for us, I mean, not that we were there every single day, but it was probably a little over 3 months. But, as I said, that had to do with schedules.
Right. So when it was all done and mixed and mastered, did you all listen to it for the first time together?
No, absolutely not. We're thousands of miles apart. When it was, I mean, I really kind of wasn't hands-on so much, so to speak, with the mix. I trust Eric Rutan, man. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I know that this man knows exactly what I'm wanting because we talk the entire time. We talk all the time, actually. Not just during the recordings and stuff, but on a regular basis. I mean, we talk about personal stuff has nothing to do with music all the time. We're friends, like friends do. So, I mean, Eric knew exactly what we wanted out of the album. He knew exactly what we wanted. He knew the sounds we were going for. He knew the guitar tones that Trey wanted. I mean, he knew these things years before any recording ever started. And I mean, and then when we're in the studio, we're talking constantly. And I tell him ideas, run things by him and get his opinion even. So, I mean, the thing about it is, in the end, it's one of those things where I'm kind of relieved to be out of the pressure of the recording and all of this. And then, the mix happens, and then I hear it, and I give my response, and then we tweak things, and Trey does the same exact thing. So it's kind of a drawn-out process. But in the end, I mean, until everyone is saying the same thing, which is, man, I love it, we're not done. Mm-hmm. So literally, it took us a minute to change this, tweak that, little adjustments here or there, just personal preference things. But eventually, I mean, once I received the version that said final and I listened to it, I mean, I was completely fucking stoked. I mean, I talked to Trey immediately. He was completely fucking stoked. So, I mean, I knew we were done. It's that simple.
So when did you guys sign with Silver Lining Music?
We actually signed with UDR Music. Mm-hmm. UDR changed their name. To be honest, I received an email about it, and it was for some personal reasons involving the people from the label, and whatever.
So let's talk.
It's to the label, but that's really, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what their name is, as long as they're supportive and doing what they're supposed to do in return for us doing what we're supposed to do. That's really what I care about.
So let's talk about this completed project now, Kingdom's Disdained, going right along in alphabetical order like the Morbid Angel usually does. So is there any particular reason you guys do that, and why did you choose this particular name for this album, Stephen?
I think the name itself was just completely timely. I mean, when you look at the news for 15 minutes. Not that I recommend anyone watches the news because it's a load of bullshit. Mm-hmm. But like, if you watch the news, you quickly see that everybody hates each other, and even if they don't, everyone's trying to convince each other that we hate each other. And it's not just a country we live in. It's not. It's not just a country above us, a country below us, or the country east or west of us. It's absolutely fucking everywhere, man. Mm-hmm. Everybody has come to a complete point where they, all the kingdoms right now are being hated. Nobody's happy. I mean, I've been reading quite a bit about what's going on in Spain with Catalonia trying to break away from Spain, mm-hmm. and how other countries are reacting to it, and everyone's just disgusted. This country is disgusted that the Catalonians would even attempt to do this and all these other things. But I mean, in the end, it seems that there's a lot of money being made by people being upset constantly, man. And it's put the whole world in a state of just discomfort, I believe, and I think the title just really kind of sums it all up in 2 words. I mean, all the kingdoms are in disdain right now, and everyone is having their issues, As far as the alphabetical thing, that's something Trey, I think I think that was something he thought about, like, in junior high school, man. You know, like, when you're in junior high and you got a notepad and you're drawing, like, you know, the name of bands that you love on it and shit, and you're, you know, drawing their logos and all that stuff. I think that most of these titles for these albums, I think that Trey had an idea for many, many years, some of them, what he wanted to call them. He told me this was a title that he wanted to use 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I loved it. I thought, wow, man, it's a fantastic title. I love it. That's great. I'm on board. You know what I mean? So, and it just ended up just really honestly, man, as most things do that are kind of faded, it ended up being, you know, almost, what would you, I don't know, man, a predictive title. Mm-hmm. You know, it almost ended up being a psychic thing in some way. You know?
Yeah, because it works perfect with the album, so for...
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, all the cards line up and everything is just, you know, the perfect hand with that one time. And, you know, with this, honestly, these titles that Trey comes up with, they all seem to come out at very timely. It always seems to be timely. Always the events around at the time always seem to work really well with the titles to the albums. And this album is definitely not an exception.
Yeah, baby, he's the Nostradamus of metal music.
Hey, I wouldn't fucking doubt it. If you told me that in, you know, 1971 or 70 or some shit, an alien craft landed and Trey came off with a guitar in his hand, I really would be surprised.
So 11 tracks on the album. The first track, Piles of Little Arms, and also that is a song you guys pre-release. So why did you choose that particular song as the pre-release, and what is that song about, Stephen?
It's the first song on the album. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, it's that simple. It's the first song on the album, and okay, let's get there. Let's get the first song out there for people to hear. In my opinion, it's a song that, you know, it's neither the fastest song nor the slowest song. I think it's a great song. It's an aggressive, nasty song. What the song is about is people. It's kind of taken the title "Piles of Little Arms" was taken from Apocalypse Now. And it's essentially in the movie, you know, people are given inoculations and they're, you know, given churches and they're given all these things that they don't necessarily want, but they're forced upon them, and now all of a sudden, you know, they're praying to a new God, and, you know, being protected from things that were never ever a worry in their life, but someone else said they are a worry, so now you need to be protected. And, you know, in the movie, you know, eventually, I mean, what the whole story comes to is, in the end, you know, every kid that received, you know, the inoculation, the shots in their arms, you know, the answer, the response to that was to just chop those arms right off the kid, throw them all in piles of little arms in the middle of the village, and to dispute the fact that the outsiders have even come in, to dispute the fact that the outsiders have come and pushed their medicines and pushed probably truly disease and discomfort and ego and all sort of things on tribes and people that never had that before. You know, it's funny that, you know, there's always this, it's easy, Columbus Day was the other day, perfect example in America. You know, America was discovered in, what was it, 14, whatever, 92? And, yeah, well, America wasn't really discovered, man. Mm-hmm. People were here. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, essentially, Piles of Little Arms could go right along with the Christopher Columbus story. I mean, it's honestly just about people coming in, forcing their will upon you, saying this is the new way of life, claiming your land, claiming ownership, and now that you're part of their religion, they can claim you too. You know, it's all a victory in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, the Piles of Little Arms are the people that are actually, you know, they're actually rebelling against that and not allowing these gifts to make their life easy come in, to make them give up their entire soul just for a little bit of an easier life. You know, it's just that's what they always sell us on, man. They always sell us on life being easier. Does life really need to be so fucking easy? Does it really need to be so fucking easy that you can be a big fat slob job and just never move, and you can look at virtual reality and live a whole life that way? Is that really what it's supposed to be? I mean, like, I know climbing a mountain's fucking exhausting, but the view at the top is unmatched. You know what I mean? But now people have 360-degree cameras. They go and they climb mountains, and they climb temples, and they take pictures, so other people, you know, live the experience through the 360-degree photos, man, when really, honestly, there's a whole world out there, and to be honest with you, man, it's not easy to get to see all of it, you know, but, you know, doing anything just because it's easy, you might need to look at yourself, and you might need to actually, you know, check things and realize that just because something's easy doesn't mean that it's correct, you know?
Okay.
I mean, that's me in my personal opinion, you know, and that's really, I mean, that's what the song's about, though. It all comes down to that. I mean, it's like, you know, in the song, the opening line is, you know, they come to give us gifts, you know, and that's how it happens, man. These religious groups or whatever, they show up in Africa or they show up in South America in the jungle. They show up and they've got little trinkets and little gifts for the kids, and they give these kids these little things, but what they really want to do is they really want to talk to them about Jesus.
Yeah.
What they really want to do is they really want to talk to them about their religion and their God and their prophets and all these different things, and convince them that their life has been completely empty without it. Even though they've existed thousands, possibly millions of years, their life was completely empty until this moment that we showed up with our gifts and our trinkets, you know. Well, that's a load of shit. You know what I mean? So what it comes down to is, you know, gifts aren't always good.
This is true. Now, track number 2, D-E-A-D. Now, the letters are all separated. So what do the letters represent, Stephen, in that song?
It's Department of Eradication and Disposal. The song is about, essentially, you know, it's imaginary, of course. This is, you know, fictional, but, you know, it's about a department of government that sends out machines to kill and dispose of human beings because they are a nuisance to the planet. Interesting.
Probably not so far off the bat either, so.
It seems to be coming.
So let's talk a little bit now. Well, you know what, Stephen? Just out of curiosity, who decides the sequence of the tracks on the album, and is there any particular rhyme or reason to where they appear on this album?
Really, me and Trey and I. I mean, and it's a back and forth, man. Honestly, you know, in order to figure this stuff out, it's a lot easier than it used to be. I can say that, man. You know, back, you know, in the days of cassette tapes, it was much harder to do than now with digital music. With digital music, you know, what I personally do is I go into a recording platform, and I take all of the songs and I put them in an order to the way I think that they should go in my mind. That's where I start. In my head, I think, okay, this song goes into this song pretty good, blah, blah, blah. So that's the way I start. And then eventually, me personally, I mean, I don't know Trey's system. His system may be a little different than mine, but me personally, what I do is I keep moving the songs around until I feel like it flows properly. Until I feel like it doesn't get clogged down, or it doesn't crescendo without the right thing coming next. You know what I mean? So it's honestly just a process of elimination. You just keep trying different things until, yeah, man, that sounded good. That flowed. You know what I mean? And then once you've got it there, and everybody, once again, once Trey and I are agreeing that, yeah, man, it flows great this way, then that's that.
Well, it's nice that the band, you know, that you guys get together and put this touch on it, because you are really, you know, putting the whole thing out there yourselves, you know, because a lot of people are just drop off all the songs and everything, and the label just puts them in order for them, you know. But this, you know, it's nice. It's these details. I have to
say, Jet, that I don't know any musician that would do what you just said.
There is.
I would think that it would have to be in their contract that that's what they have to do. Whereas in Morbid Angel, we have artistic freedom. Not everybody has, all the freedoms that Morbid has, but Morbid's been around for over 30 years approximately, and, it's just, this is the way it's always been, and I'm sure that a lot of labels would like to just take that right away from us, and they're the ones who decide every single thing. And there are people signed a contract where the label does decide absolutely everything. But man, all the musicians that I know, and it's losing that ability, losing that would be terrible. I mean, imagine Rain and Blood in some asshole from Warner Brothers' opinion of how it should flow as opposed to the way it flows. You know what I mean? Like it just honestly would not be the same album. I mean, they would their opinion of the way it should go would definitely be different than a band. And I mean, I think Rain and Blood's a perfect example of how you can't change any song on that album. You can't change the order or the album becomes a different album. The way that thing flows from song to song is just, it is the way it just always had to be. I mean, that's just the way it is. And eventually, I mean, when I listen to the albums, eventually I start to feel that as well. Okay, man, this is just the way this is supposed to be. This is the way that it can't be any different. It doesn't sound like the same album. So, I mean, it's process, man.
Well, it sounds...
Not one I want to share with a label guy, I can say that.
Well, I was just going to say, it sounds very reasonable, but there are a lot of bands that have told me that they don't, if it's not a concept album to them, they don't care what order that they go in. We won't mention any names.
That's shocking to me. Honestly, I'm really blown away by that. But hey, man, it's, you know what? Honestly, I mean, that's one less stress. I get it. I fucking get it. I can tell you that. That's one less thing we need to worry about and stress out about. So I get it.
So let's talk a little bit about the cover artist now. Who did the cover art, and what does it depict, and how much say did you guys have in the cover art?
Yeah, the guy that did the album art is a guy named Ken Coleman. He's a friend of mine. I've worked with him before previously, but he does fantastic stuff. Ken is an artist who actually, on the surface, a lot of people may think, oh, this guy does Photoshop. Actually, Photoshop for Ken is just a final process. Like, Ken makes 3D models. He makes real worlds, and then he photographs these worlds, and then he enhances these worlds, like I said, through Photoshop in the end. But he actually physically makes a lot of this stuff, and he did make models of everything that you see on the Morbid Angel, on the Kingdom's Disdained cover art. He made 3D models of all of these things and then photographed it. And as you'll see, through the vinyls and all the different elements we're releasing it on, all the different platforms, we're using a lot of actually different angles and different views of the album art. So we don't necessarily have, just one piece of art that's being used. We do have the main cover, which has been released, and that is the main album cover. But like I said, for some of the vinyls and such, we're also doing alternative covers on some of the stuff, on some of the special little things we're doing. We have a lot of different things that we want to release. And the reason we were able to do that is the fact that Ken physically made these and photographed them at all these different angles. So literally we have just, thousands of images at our disposal, and it's spectacular. We definitely had input on what Ken was doing. We were definitely talking to him about where this should go and all the other technicalities, coloring and text and things like that, of course. But the artwork's his, man. The idea for the artwork, completely his. He sent it to us in a proposal. All we've done is really work with him and take what he sent in his proposal and turn it into something that is now being used and is much grander in scale. So I'm extremely happy with it. It's funny because, I'll jump online and I'll go on social media for a little while, and I see stuff, and I generally don't read comments or anything like that, but I still see images. One of the images I've seen this image of the album cover is a PlayStation game, and I'm sure it was meant to be snarky from somebody. I'm sure it was meant to be an insult or a burn of sorts, but actually I thought it was fucking awesome. Like, I thought, well, that's great, man. I mean, you know, video games, man. That, you know, why do people play video games? People play video games because they want to go into another world.
Right.
They want to go into another dimension. They don't want to be here dealing with this bullshit. They don't want to watch, you know, the news and hear about, you know, newest president's bullshit, or the last president's bullshit. You know, they want to go into another world, another dimension. They want to escape. They want to get away. And honestly, with every album, what I'm trying to do is create another world, another place for people to go and escape, and another sort of dimension, and the artwork goes with it. So the fact that someone would see it, you know, put that in a video game perspective is absolutely perfect to me, because that's what I want. I want you to put on the new album, look at the artwork, read the lyrics, read all the stuff inside, and go into another world and forget about everything that's going on here for, you know, 50 minutes or whatever. You know, that's exactly the intention, man. That's why I make music, you know. And then hopefully you'll come out and see us do that same thing live, you know.
So his art is going to be in all the booklets and, you know, covers and stuff like that. He's the only artist that's on this album as far as art.
Absolutely, and he's in, and like I said, there's different versions, different angles, different you know, versions of the monster on the cover. You know, when you see it, when you look close, he actually used to be the Earth. You know, he was the Earth, and now he raised up out of the Earth, and that's the process. The album is the process of him coming out of the Earth, man. And so therefore you get to see different images on the different platforms where, you know, at this point he's on his knee, at this point he's standing all the way up, at this point, you know, it's from a shot taken from behind him, things like that. There's a lot of different things that you'll see on the inside and of all the cover art. And the vinyl packaging, it's all got its own things going on. Every single CD has its own design, the vinyl has its own design, etc. So, like, when you open up when you get the CD and you pull out the card, you open it up, there's other imagery on the inside that's absolutely spectacular.
And I see also, like you were saying, there is going to be a vinyl release. I saw the label is already taking some pre-orders, but they don't quite have all your special packages up yet. But are they going to be cool, Steven?
Are they going to be what?
Cool! We want cool packages.
And I personally think that they're fucking fantastic, man. I think that they're great. And as well, we did separate mixes and mastering or maybe just mastering for vinyl, you know, and as well, I mean, digital downloads. If you buy it from iTunes, you know, which I don't recommend because then you don't physically have it to look at.
Right,
but
right.
That's how a lot of people listen to music, and that's cool. But if you buy it from that, it's been mastered, you know, for high resolution, especially for iTunes. You know, so there's a version that was done just for digital downloads, so that when you buy an MP3, you're not getting, you know, ripped off and getting, you know, a shitty version. It's still really, really high def. So this label is really doing everything they can to make sure that people get this at a very, very high quality when they get it.
Hey, so Steven, you know, with the new release coming out, are you guys going to be, you know, offering like new merch to go with it as well? Like, are you guys going to have like T-shirts and shit like that coming out that you know of?
Absolutely. I mean, always. You know, I think every album there's, you know, new merch. I mean, you know, we love the album art. We, you know, spent months loving this album art, so we can't wait, you know, to use some of this imagery on T-shirts. You know, and as well, you know, with this, you know, every single album, you know, Morbid will do it. You know, we do different. That the logo itself doesn't change, but we do different colors. And this time we did like a black logo. So,
cool.
You know, of course, we'll be doing some stuff with that now. And yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have stuff out there. I mean, of course, we want to see Morbid Angel across people's chests all day long. You know?
And Steven, what are some of the best sites for people to kind of catch up with the band? I think you guys might have a website out there as well as some social media sites.
Yeah, I mean, it's morbidangel.com. I'm pretty sure it's the same, you know, years. I personally have been not using the internet so much lately. So, I mean, I haven't gone to the sites myself, but, you know, yeah, definitely Morbid Angel. There's definitely morbidangel.com and a Facebook page, etc. So, yeah, I mean, there's information out there. And then, you know, as soon as things are going to happen, I mean, of course, the label will be, putting out ads and such. So, I mean, Morbid Angel, I would say very soon, the next couple of weeks, you know, you'll be seeing Morbid Angel's name everywhere.
Okay, so there you guys have it, the new album by Morbid Angel, Kingdoms Disdained, out December 1st on Silver Lining Music, and you can actually pre-order the album at their site now. I went and checked it out. And they also mentioned a box set is coming soon. And Stephen, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to come back on the show to tell us about the new album and what's going on with the band, and best of everything with all of you have going on right now. And personally, I'm glad you're back in Morbid Angel.
Jet, you know I love you, man. You're awesome. You know, you're the real deal, so I always love to hang out and always love to have a discussion with you, man. You kick ass, and, you know, the station kicks ass as well. I love what you guys are doing, and it's just a great thing. Thanks for having me, man.